Anthony kind of was processing this business of, okay, components don't overlap for a
Right.
venture. And he didn't seem like he came to a conclusion about it during his, venture prep conversation. And anyway, it seems to have cropped up as a sort of side point in more than one of all those videos. And then when you mentioned it in your email, and then mentioned it again in the video, and I've been like, I've been off to GothCon and back, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
when's the next venture? I'm looking forward to the next venture.
Yeah, we
And
had to reschedule a couple
yeah, and
times,
then I keep seeing this, and then you keep mentioning how hard it is to prep, and I'm like, well, wait a second here,
Yeah,
something's
it's
wrong.
not. Yeah, it wasn't hard. It was just the moment of. I mean, I got to draw three, so I'm like, okay, that's
Right,
great.
right,
And then I've got so each one has one named character. So
minimum,
okay, but then the way I read the rules, you can add one more,
right,
so like for a total of four
right. So
altogether. So that's
sure.
that's fine. And so
Now,
that
let's
wasn't
not
hard.
forget, of course, that the rules are extremely generous. That's one thing I was okay. Oh, there's so many things. Let me break it
Yeah.
out first, okay? A couple of things. The big point first, and then that business about how many named characters next.
Right.
So the big thing first is that you guys may be over responding to the no overlap rule. Um, the characters who are associated with different components are in the same community,
Right.
so their things may be bumping up against one another without any problem. I mean that you could be looking at it and say, okay, and clearly this is in the same pig farm, as that, and
Yeah. I,
that's
I I don't think anyone thought they were
there's
like
only one pig farm, okay? I mean, if the
right.
monster is eating pigs and the other guy is, I don't know, stealing pigs, then
Right.
it's okay if they're the same pig farm.
Right.
And then the pig farmer, of course, is going to be bitching about both. That can happen. That's okay. What I was writing against, and I'll tell you what the rule is first, and then we'll talk about the reason. But the rule is that you don't use the same named characters or connect them tightly as kin or spouses.
Right. Right.
That's the only thing. I mean, any other connections that crop up due to logistics are fine. So, just make sure that you don't look at say you got two components, right? And you got two named characters each, and you're looking at it and you go, oh man, the woman in this component is exactly the right kind of person I want for the witch in that component.
Right.
That's
Right.
perfect. No, that's what I'm saying not to do. And the reason for that is because in the course of, making these high relationship, highly volatile social scenes for people to encounter, which, if I do say so myself, I spotlighted as a technique for everybody in Sorcerer and in Trollbabe. And actually in Elves, which no one ever appreciates. But the idea is that you go somewhere or you are somewhere, and the place is just fucking rife with
Right.
tension. And that way you don't have one NPC who's a forever chasing after the player characters, telling them what to do while they try to scuttle away from them, or even more, they're looking for that NPC to tell them what to do, and everybody else is just kind of window dressing, like the guy at the bar who doesn't say anything, but you know what I mean.
Right. No,
So
trust me. This
right,
town is screwed up. Like you
right.
can't walk 10 feet in this
So
town and be like, oh man, something's wrong.
exactly. Well, that's what three components will do for you.
Right.
And
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
the idea though is that in the context of making scenarios like this, and I specifically name Luke Crane as a player in this, they hooked everything to everything. So that, the idea was, you build this circumstance of, 30 people, and then some of them are eligible player characters. Everybody picks one as a player character, and you're off to the races. Because given all of the backstory, given all of the tensions, given that everybody's connected to everybody, indirectly or directly, sooner or later player characters are going to be at each other's throats, and you're going to, or teamed up against the big bad, one of the two, and you've got your 3-4 hour convention play taped.
Right.
You're set. No matter what. I mean, it can go different ways, and that makes it a lot more fun than your usual railroaded scenario. But in many ways, I call it the 95% problem. It's 95% over.
Right. Okay, I got what you're saying.
And how hard is that? How hard is it to get into character and launch into action if most of the decision-making action has already occurred? So really, you're just in at the banquet at the end of Hamlet.
Yeah, okay.
And it's all just a matter of who stabs each other first, or who misunderstands what,
Right.
And that's very playable if you're a kind of a histrionic GM with a lot of excitement, and you get people jumping in and they have a few minutes to get into character and like play the tensions that they just read about on their sheet. Okay, you hate him because you think he killed your brother, that kind of thing, and you're ready to go. Pretty soon everybody's pretty much LARPing at each other sitting down, and they go after each other with their broadswords sooner or later, and you have a big opera finish. We call this blood opera.
Right.
It's one of the reasons why I actually tried to slow it down in both Sorcerer and Trollbabe. Was you got to give it room to breathe. People have got to, and it's the same thing for Circle of Hands. Go live there for a while. Whatever the tensions are, they're not, going to erupt in flame in the course of a few weeks. And I mean, that's what the tripwires are for.
Right.
Nobody's hitting a tripwire. I mean, things are going to be proceeding and simmering, and bad things will happen, but no, it's not going to all end tomorrow because everybody's had enough. And also the fact that everybody's not pointed at everybody else helps slow things down like that.
Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of wrap my head around. I mean, I got the idea that it's not that the components were ignorant of each other, didn't have opinions about each other, but they weren't like so entwined with each other. And
right. I mean, if you poke one, the other one doesn't have to suddenly go off.
Right.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
The rule that helps you there is ascension.
Oh, yeah.
Fill the gaps or connections between the two with tons of people that you just don't happen to name. Right. And then whoever they interact with or become interested in, whoever you become interested in, seems as though they would have an opinion.
Right.
Pops up and their name. So you can have. I mean, that's a comment I was going to make. In the ventures that Anthony ran,
right.
I didn't see any ascensions to speak of, or hardly any. And I was thinking, wow, when I play a venture, there's like 7 or 8 named people.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It's just like picking up a planned scenario with all of its cast. Its named cast and everything. There's always 7 or 8 or 10 in there, and it's the same for Adventure and Circle of Hands.
Yeah. Right. I think we were being a little bit. We had talked about like, do we want to have this massive amount of Ascension? So I think we were playing a little conservatively at first with Ascension, like before you ask this guy his name,
right,
or do whatever, like just you really want to do this. But yeah, I can see too. Like I was thinking of the first venture that we had with Anthony, where regardless of whether regardless of whether the components really have a big opinion of each other, we tended to yank them together anyway. Like we brought that one woman, right over to this other guy's house, like Corbin's house. Like, here you go, and so yeah, you're in it now. She's in your freaking house, and we're about to kill her.
Right. So it makes perfectly good sense, and I think that therefore just being, I'm kind of talking about hooking it up through double dipping a given named character, number one.
Right.
That's the most obvious thing not to do. And then the second one is don't hook them together tightly through kin and sex and, keep, then you can have fill in with all the NPCs you want. Cool. I interrupted you. Did you want to say something that I missed?
I can't recall. No, I think that was about it. Like I kind of like got over the hump of figuring out how to like have three components there, have the named characters not like be stepping all over each other. But there were a couple times where I found myself making those connections, saying, "Okay, pull back. You can't.
Right.
You can't. It's not a good thing to have those connections. Let them kind of stand on their own."
So,
Because
yeah.
I think we've all had that experience of making a place, and I think you even say it in the text somewhere. There's a point where it starts to occur to you. Of course, these people, and you're like, well, no, wait a minute, because
Right.
I've made this big giant web. Because I think that's kind of what we've learned,
Right.
or what we've done over
well,
time.
I mean, having like talked all about relationship maps, also as much as I have, you can see that I would be at least superficially in favor of doing that. But
Right.
again, there is the point where the viewer says, "Oh, come on, does really? I mean, your sister? That's your sister." How many fucking sisters and cousins and brothers
Right.
and murdered fathers-in-law are we gonna have here?
Yeah.
And so these 7. Yeah, okay, we've got 7 different weird murders across the city, and oh my God, they're all connected. Pretty soon. I mean, I will take it all the way back. I've talked about this before. Take it all the way back to a game of Cyberpunk that I ran in 1989, the year the game came out. And I did that. And I believe it was the time when the NPC that they encountered who was this or that turned out to be that ex-girlfriend that had come from the backstory of one of the players.
Oh, great, yeah.
And it was the player threw a sock at me. and was like, I was surprised. I was like, wait, Silver Fox, this is your ex-girlfriend that you wrote about in your sheet. That's awesome, right? And he's like, come on, everybody can't be in the same session.
Right.
You can't have everybody from everybody's backstory show up as coincidentally the NPCs who were involved in this one problem.
Have you been to the movies lately?
Yeah, well,
I'm just never mind. I'm just gonna let that one die.
I think I know what you mean. I mean, I agree.
But yeah,
and actually, in many ways, no. Actually, I haven't.
Yeah.
I see mostly kids' movies these days.
I understand.
With more components, surrounds them in your mind with people,
right,
who are available. And in 5 minutes of play, you're perfectly capable of having as many named NPCs as you want.
Yeah.